I'm Jacqueline Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne?
Today's guest is someone who truly gets what it means to wear all the hats and somehow make it look effortless. Sammi Cohen is a creator, entrepreneur, podcast host, and former Amazon product manager who's built a loyal following across Instagram, TikTok, and her own show, all while navigating the demands of corporate life and now scaling her own company. She's part of a growing wave of women redefining what the creator economy looks like and how to build something sustainable, strategic, and aligned with real life, not just the highlight reel. In this episode, we're diving into what it takes to grow a platform from scratch, why you don't have to quit your job to get started, but you might, and what's the next for the future of creators in a world that's changing fast. Let's get into it. So you spent 5 years as a product manager at Amazon while steadily creating this kind of creative career side hustle. From a tactical standpoint, what systems of habits helped you show up for both without dropping the ball?
Oh my gosh. So first, to just paint a picture, I was at Amazon for 5 years. And for anyone who knows about the corporate culture of Amazon, it's not the kind of place you work and you just, coast. It's not really possible, right? So it was a pretty demanding job. So I think when it comes to systems, I'd say the number one thing was I was maniacal about time. So I would know, okay, if my Amazon schedule, I had 6 meetings that day, and I had them all specifically blocked in my calendar, I would know going into a day, okay, I have this 30-minute block between these meetings. I have this hour block here. So I would think through, okay, if it takes me 3 hours start to finish to come up with a video for social media on my Instagram or TikTok, all right, these first 2 blocks is when I'm going to do the research I need for the video. Then that next one I'm going to script. Then that next one I'm going to shoot. And then after work, I'm going to edit it so it can go live the next morning. So I was just an animal when it came to planning.
What prompted you to start that first video?
So it was a COVID moment. I feel like a lot of us had epiphanies, turning points during COVID. It was 2022. And I was not going into the office anymore with Amazon. I was stuck in my apartment, not really seeing anyone. And for me, I've always been, and this is very much still true today, but I'm just like a business nerd. And like, that's not me saying that. That is anyone who knows me. That's always been the case. I've always been obsessive about consuming business podcasts and just reading up on what my favorite companies were doing. I love hearing about the behind the scenes of companies, why they're making the decisions they're making, who's at the helm, what's their experience, why are they doing the things that they're doing. So from a personal interest level, that's always been my MO. And I went to business school. I went to Berkeley for my MBA. And I had just gone into Amazon. I had a brief stint. I started a matcha company when I was in my business school program. And so I had this really deep curiosity on all types of businesses. They generally tend to lean a little bit more consumer facing because I was in that world. And it was just a creativity lull where I was working in Amazon logistics, which is as far as you can get from anything creator. It's like, how does this package go from fulfillment center to your door, right? And I did nothing creative. When I say that like my day was Excel spreadsheets and like talking about how to maximize efficiency, that was my day. And don't get me wrong, I can do that work, but I was so craving something that was more creative. And so one day, and this is before Instagram Reels became a big thing. TikTok was huge, obviously, at the time. And I just thought, okay, it's not like I was someone who even like cared about my personal brand on Instagram, right? Like I obviously had a personal Instagram, but it was like for my friends and that's it. And it was private. And so for me to do this hard pivot into social was the most unhinged thing I've ever done. So I did not tell a soul, right? I'm like, I just like want to try this out. Like my very first post was talking about Sophia Amoruso behind Nasty Gal and like the rise and fall and what happened. And of course it was so cringy, but I believe like if your first video isn't cringy, like you didn't start early enough, right? So looking back, if anyone wants like a fun little giggle, go back to my earliest videos. It's like alarmingly bad, but I did it. And I was like, this was one of the most fun things I have done for myself maybe ever. So I didn't tell a soul. I just told my husband, I'm like, hey, and by the way, like 2022 was still like dancing era for TikTok, right? Like that's what your person on the street thought when you said that you did TikTok. So I just told him, I was like very low key cash at dinner. And I was like, hey, I just posted a TikTok talking about Sophia Amoruso and this nasty gal story. And he looks at me, he's like, what did you just do? And I'm like, babes, just go with it. It's fine. You're like, the worst thing that happens is that, and this is actually for me, I wasn't really even curious or all that focused on the metrics. It was more something I wanted to do because I loved it. But I thought with TikTok, the brilliance of it is if you put something out, if it doesn't do well, no one sees it. And so it's like, you know what, like worst thing that happens is that, and that's fine. And then best thing that happens is it actually does well and then it grows into something. So that was my mentality.
Yeah, why not?
And then it's obviously evolved a lot since then.
It's so funny. The Diary of a CEO host said, cringe is the price of entry. Like if you aren't feeling totally cringe, like you have to just go for it. And I'm the worst at that. Actually, I've done some cringe videos.
No, that's so good. You're getting so good.
I don't know. I go back and forth, but I don't know. I just got to go for it.
No, I have personally saved so many of your videos and sent it to the team. I'll send it to Audrey, our marketer, and I'm like, this is so great. Like your POV on certain things, but you lead with, I just love it. I think it's really captivating and it really does force you to sit through it. And so I love that it sounds like it's such a creative outlet for you. And so we get hundreds of women that work in corporate or have a really demanding job and they're craving so badly to like do something else, but they can't manage. And I know you said you time block, they just can't manage their energy with like, I'm exhausted all day. You want me to go and then even for me, like put my phone up and record. Like, I just don't know how to balance that energy. How did you balance both like the actual demand of Amazon and then having that energy and then being like, okay, let me get camera ready and record?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the answer is that I didn't really have balance. So I think that this has now become a little bit more of a popular conversation, or it's been normalized to say this, but there was truly no balance in the beginning. One thing that I love to be super open about, because I think a lot of people, they may see you get to a certain point as a creator and they don't really see what happened before you got to that point, right? Yeah. But I was posting most days of the week for 2.5 years before I monetized it at all. And that was me working at Amazon full time. And so when I talk about the lack of balance, because my days were so regimented from literally getting up at 5:30, starting to work on something at 6, my first Amazon meetings were usually like 8 or 8:30. And then I would work on videos throughout the day. I didn't have time to like work out during the days. I didn't have time to like do the after work drinks or get dinner with friends a lot of the time. But for me, I think I realized, even though I wasn't monetizing early on, I realized that not only did I love it, but I saw the potential, and I was for sure delusional. Like I was thinking that this was going to be something even when I had like 1,000 followers, because I was like, it has to be. You see the way that the industry tailwinds are pushing, more people are consuming their news of all kinds on social media. And I knew that I was so passionate about it that I was just like, I know that this will be something, even if it's not today. It's one of those things, if you just keep up with your consistency in terms of content, like oftentimes that's the game of content. It's how do you show up again and again and again and not get discouraged if a video doesn't work, because it won't work most of the time, especially in the early days. And you just have to be delusional or believe so much in yourself, even though there's no proof points, that you get to a point where that is what fuels you. So that was really what fueled me. And like my energy was being fueled by this dream that I had that I didn't even, it was one of those things, the dream came to be. I think that first episode or that first post that I did was that moment of, oh, I love this. But it wasn't until probably 6 months in where I was like, wow, I see what the potential could be here. And still, I didn't have many followers then, but I was just really delusional.
I love that. And you eventually left your job at Amazon, or
I left my job a month ago.
Wow. How has it been?
It has been incredible. I'd say initially, I thought that I would have all of this extra time, right? Like, oh wow,
You're just normal now.
Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, don't get me wrong. I think I see the pockets of time that I have now that I didn't have before. But what's really interesting as an entrepreneur, and I timed the fact that I was leaving Amazon with launching the podcast. And so I ended up taking on a lot more on my plate. So I think that's probably why it feels like it's kind of similar to where it was before. But I think the biggest thing, and I'm the biggest proponent of building, whether it's social media, a side hustle in a completely different field, building it while you have a full-time job. I know there are different takes on that, and there's a million schools of thoughts of, no, just jump all in and, leave what you're doing. But I am the complete opposite of that. I think the best way to build something, as long as you possibly can, is to find a way to at least test, experiment with what you want to do while you don't have the pressure of doing whatever you'd want to do full time. Because that's the thing. I think I was able to be fueled by this sense of, I'm so excited about what I'm doing. I'm so curious about all of the topics I'm talking about. I had that energy because I had a steady paycheck coming in. I was not worried about my finances, right?
Low stakes.
Yeah. So everything felt like a game. It felt fun. Whereas if I was like, oh my gosh, I need this video to do well because I need this brand deal to come in because that's going to pay my rent. Like, that was not the case. So I think that there are definitely stages. I feel like I could have left Amazon way earlier than I did, but I think I am really happy that I took the path that I did.
Yeah, I always say, like, think of your job as your investor and your future business as you're
Totally.
building. So I want to talk a little bit about monetization too. So there's so many different ways to monetize now with online content. So walk us through the different platforms you're using, how you're monetizing, all that.
Yeah, and this is something I'm thinking about so much now that I'm gone from Amazon. But I'd say the number one way that I monetize, most creators monetize, is through brand partnerships. So because my content is a lot more educational, business focused, but the way I spin it, it's like the intersection of business, tech, and culture. A lot of brands will approach me to say, hey, we love what you're doing. We have this product, service, or we have this audience that we believe would really get a lot of value from hearing our story on your page. So a lot of the times I'm telling, hey, this is the story of this brand. Sometimes I'll talk about, okay, they raised venture capital and this is what they're doing now. And I'll give a background on what the company is and the business behind it. And I think that's the value for me, is that I'm able to break down what these companies are doing and demystify the business, right? Because a lot of times consumers will love a product, they'll love a company, but they don't actually know the way that it works behind the scenes.
For sure. And what a unique way to do brand content. Like, it's not just like, hey, check out this company. It's like, here's the story behind it. And that's it is like this kind of like news meets culture combination, which I think is so cool.
But you've also like, people care about what you specifically have to say. And I feel like you built that thought leadership for yourself. Like, you talk about pay gaps, you talk about tough topics too. And you do give not just like the information in an article or the research that you just found, but you do provide your opinion as well. How do you balance that of like, how far in do you want to share your opinion? And like, especially on the tougher topics, and how do you just strictly stay with what is in the article or what you find online, and that is it?
Yeah, such a good question. I think I err on the side of sharing my opinion. So my hot take is that as a creator, the stronger the point of view you have, the stronger your content will be, right? Like, there's no way that what you put out there, no matter what side of an idea you're on, your ideas are not for everyone. And so I think I straddle this line where I like to give information, and of course it depends on the topic, but I will give the information, and then after I've said the objective facts, then I will use keywords. I'll say, this is my takeaway, or this is my thought on this. So I want to present the information and then give my spin on it, because if I just present information in an objective fashion, that's just me regurgitating an article, which it's not something I'm really interested in doing. And I feel like, especially as a creator, and I have so many thoughts on the world that AI is bringing into the creator economy, it's changing the game. But nowadays, as a creator, as a human creator, you need to lean into your humanness. You need to develop a strong point of view that differentiates
Terrifying.
yourself.
As a human creator, I'm like, oh God.
No, it's coming.
It's so, I know.
It's
Well,
coming.
no, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on
I was
AI.
gonna say,
I'm so
what
curious.
is your POV?
No, guys, it's wild. There are going to be, in the not too distant future, AI creators, so they're not human. They're essentially run by humans, but it's an AI interface that looks like a human. You're already seeing it right now.
Yeah, they're a little too shiny. I'm like, oh, this is a shiny AI person. Terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, there are companies, and some of them, a lot of them are getting a lot of heat for this, but like UGC content, right? Like user generated content. There are companies that are developing these AI avatars that look like humans but a little shiny, and they're doing the exact job of someone who's a UGC creator who's like, oh, look at this product, I just got it in the mail, it's so great, blah blah blah. And I think we're going to see that. That's step one, right? We're going to get to step 1,000 of AI, but there will be full on AI creators who, you think of how powerful you had mentioned in an earlier conversation about how you use ChatGPT to organize your thoughts, right? People are using AI, no matter if you're seeing content on your feed. I guarantee anyone who opens their Instagram account right now and spends 30 seconds on their feed will encounter a piece of content that has been formulated with AI in some way. And that may mean just thought leadership, right? Or thought partnership. But AI is being used in every aspect of creation now. But we're going to see the creation go from the back end to the front end, where you're going to see these avatars that have points of view that will share information, and people will follow them, and people will follow them knowing that they're not a human. But I think that it is where the world is going. And that is why, as a human creator, it is more important than ever to have a strong point of view, to build the community, right? Create and Cultivate is so good at that. And lean into what makes you human.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Do you know
and
who
then
does that? Morgan DeBond. Do you know Morgan?
Oh yeah, she talks about it.
She posts a video, and it was her talking, and then it flashed to her talking, and she was like, "That wasn't me. Like that was," and I was like, "What?"
No,
just
I know. I
happened?
saw
but
that
it
too.
it's so crazy to that point. Without again going too deep into AI, I'm just curious where we use AI obviously so much as for work and all of that stuff, and our networking program. Where do you sprinkle it in where it still allows you, of course, to have your POV, but like helps you be more efficient in full-time creator?
Yeah, I use it so much. I'd say the thing that I use it for every single day is when I am working on content, either for a social post or for a podcast, because I do solo podcasts where I'll do a longer form version of what I'm doing in my Reels or TikTok videos. I will essentially provide it with a script is a little bit too heavy, but like bullet points of what I want to talk about. And I will say I have this prompt that I basically copy paste, and it's like, refine this, make it like punchy, intriguing, provide me with different options for the hook that I gave. And oftentimes it gives stronger hooks. So I'll use the stronger hook that is just like a cleaned up, sharper version of what I gave to it.
So interesting. I was listening to Las Culturistas with Allison Williams, and she was saying how she uses ChatGPT all the time. And then like, she's like, every couple of months, I'll just be like, tell me what you think you know about me, and just like check on the opinion of like, who do you think I am and what do you think this is? Like, she's like, it's so fascinating, but I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. So obviously I did it immediately. But it was funny because it definitely had some wrong information and things like that. And then you change it and it's like memory updated, and you're like, so crazy. But one of the questions I have for you is, which video of yours did you upload and you kind of were like, ooh, I'm nervous about uploading this one, like in terms of a strong opinion that you had?
Oh, so many. Like in the past week?
Yes.
Yeah, literally one I did last night. It was about, so David Protein, for anyone who doesn't know David Protein, it's by the founder, one of the co-founders of the RX bar that had this crazy exit. He sold RX bar for $600 million. He started another company called David Protein. Their first product was this protein bar, and it uses this ingredient called EPG, which is somewhat questionable to some groups of people. Anyway, I did a video on that about a month ago, and the video did really well. So I did a follow-up video because a few days ago, they launched their second product, which is cod, which is fish. Oh. Okay? Yeah.
Fish.
That's the right reaction. Like,
Wow.
huh?
Yeah.
Like that's not a normal next
Fall
SKU.
onto a protein bar. Yeah.
And so their whole thing is they're trying to create this umbrella of being a protein company.
I
Right?
mean, this is everyone though. I mean, like, you know, Jenny from Jenny's Ice Cream, she's creating the fiber company.
Yes.
And it's going to be all different forms of fiber. And it's like, we've kind of seen this path. It's like you create the product, like those, like you pull out the ingredient and then you can do it in all different things. And I feel like it was like, remember Better Bagel or whatever, the red, like the red bagel that came out, it was like 0 carbs. And then I think it crashed and burned.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
But like that
dumpster
was,
fire.
I think that was like the impetus was the bagel was going to be the first product, and obviously it didn't work out. But
well, my hot take on that, and the reason why I was nervous is I actually said it was a bad business strategy, and this is specific. I think it can work in different applications, but my whole thing with David, and people are gonna come after me for this, but whatever. First off, fish, come on. Like fish is not
like, is it raw fish you cook? Like
it's frozen cod. And then you read the instructions and it's like, it's caught fresh, but like the second it arrives at your door, first off, the company's burning money on that because the cold chain logistics for sending that across the
fish is
country.
crazy.
Yeah. But then it lasts in your fridge for 2 days. And then if you're not going to use it in those 2 days, then you need to freeze it. It's just a logistical nightmare, right? And they raised $75 million in their Series A. They're not strapped for capital. So
maybe it's a marketing play, like to your point.
Yeah. But my whole thing is, yes, it's marketing, but it also, my hot take was that it actually was revealing, just because it was so different from the bars that they had created. The bars are the ingredient I was mentioning before, it's called EPG, and it's this like modified ingredient, right? And a lot of people are like, protein is protein. Why don't you just eat whole foods? Like, why are you trying to overcomplicate this? And there's like processing in it. And so it was just launching fresh fish and then having this, in my opinion, like very processed bar, like the dichotomy between the two. It just, to me, I was like, probably not the way I would have done it. And that was my hot take. And I'm sure the David founder, I'm sure he has already like blacklisted me, but you know, it's whatever. It's like,
I mean, they can't launch fish and not expect some sort of question or backlash.
I am curious because we talked a little bit about it during our episode on Work Party about like the thought leadership and sharing your opinions and building your brand as the founder or the face of a company. When you do post things like that, 1, do you get hate? 2, how do you handle that hate? 3, how do you keep going with the hate? Because I think like we're in a culture of like cancel culture is so real. And so a lot of the times like I'm again, very direct and I'm definitely not media trained. And so
no, sometimes she goes off the rails and I'm like, girl, reel it in.
But like, how do you know the line? And also like, like how do you handle that criticism?
So it's funny because I do have quite a bit of hot takes, and that's kind of my specialty. My line that I say in all my videos is, I'm Sammi and I talk about the hottest business lore. Like I want my content to be a little bit spicy. I want you to learn, but also be like, ooh, I like want to gossip with my friends about this too, or put it in the group chat. And so considering how hot my content can be, I'd say, do I get hate occasionally? Of course, but it hasn't been anything that has been outrageous. Like if anything, people will be like, I don't agree with your point of view and this is why you're wrong, but I haven't really had the
like
crazy,
personal,
like because
it's more discourse, I think, which is good.
I lead, first off, my audience is 75% women, highly educated, mostly in New York and LA. I don't think my people are not the ones who are going to, even if they don't agree with my opinion, they're not about to send me hate mail, right? So
love that.
I think we have a trust. It's like you can agree with me or not. And also what I do in a lot of my videos is I say my take, and then at the end I say, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And a lot of the times people will say, I actually don't agree with this. And then I'll have discourse with them. I talk to them in the comments.
Cool. Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
No, I love that so much. And I think it's so interesting. We talked a little bit about building in public earlier. It's funny because like in the age of when I started my company, it was like you never posted bad news, or you never talked about like the real behind the scenes of building, but like that was unheard of. It was like, there's no such thing as a bad day. You're just like, here we are, everything's amazing. And then you're like, like it's all falling apart. And then there was this switch. And I think TikTok probably had a role to play in that, where it was like, come with me, I'm dealing with that, I'm doing this. And then like, obviously the era of public apologies from people and this, and now it's just so, and like voicing your opinions now on these different things. It's so different building a business these days than it was when I was doing it. Like it really was the highlight reel of your business only. And like, you never talked about anything being like somewhat scary or confusing.
Yeah. Or I was like, one of the things that I was going to call out is like, we never saw the behind the scenes of Create and Cultivate event. We've never seen a single box. We never seen anybody look a mess. And now it's like our content marketer is like, hey guys, I gotta like, I want to create that. I want to show stuffing the bag. I want to show the stage build. And I was like, that's so cool that like people get so bought in on wanting to see that.
Yeah, like they want to see the build and the story. And I think that's so like, it's so different. And it takes me a minute to get used to as well. So let's talk about a few things that happened this week, because the creator world and the business world are always moving and staying current is part of it. So this week, Time named Olivia Dunn to its Elite Time 100 creator list. I felt like everyone was on that list. I was like, they're like the Time 10,000 list. I'm like, it's just every single person. Just one of many signs that female athletes turned creators are redefining influence and building real businesses off the field. What lessons do you see in her strategy that apply to creators balancing sports content, commercial impact, et cetera?
Yeah, well, I think first, the name, image, and likeness change was incredible. I think for any collegiate athlete, it was the standalone biggest unlock in terms of their earning potential, right? And if you look at collegiate athletes, vast majority don't go on to play professionally. And even then, if they do play professionally, we know a lot of the times you're not making all that much money or as much as you would expect. And so I think it is really it's a win-win. It's a win for the athlete. It's a win for brands, because if you think of these athletes who've been able to grow a social following, their target demos or their audience that's subscribing to them is usually young people who are interested in, in what's going on in pop culture and relevant news. So I think it's a win-win. I think in terms of learnings, I think it actually goes well beyond just collegiate athletes. I think if you are skilled in anything, really, if maybe not sports, if you're really passionate about traveling, right? If you document and you share your experience with your audience, I think that's the number one currency today. Everyone has access to a smartphone. It is the way to really like level the playing field in terms of what people can earn, and everyone has access to create a following or build a community based on, sharing what they're doing. So, I mean, that's a broad way of me answering it, but generally I think.
But I also think I'm like, with leveling the playing field, I do feel like we're in this really, and I think it's starting to crash a little bit, but this whole world of celebrity brands where it's like, who even stands a chance to get into Sephora when every actress is launching a beauty line or a skincare line or whatever. And it was funny, like I was at a dinner last night and we were all kind of chatting about it, like the kind of like demise of the celebrity brands. And yet at the same time, we have Hailey Bieber exiting for so much money. So what is your take on this, like the celebrity brand phenomenon?
I think people are so fatigued with it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Beyond. I think you've seen for all of the success and Hailey Bieber, right? She was an anomaly. That was an exception. She scaled that in 3 years, the $1 billion exit. Like that will be, when we look at like the 5-year period from, 2020 to 2025, that will stand out as one of the unique cases. But then you have so many companies. You have the Addison Rae's. She did Item Beauty. You had Ariana Grande. Like her company didn't work. I think now if you are building a company, even if you're a celebrity, it needs to be, and everyone uses this word, but if it's not authentic, like if your audience does not really believe that you are using it and that you are very crucial to the success of the company and you're involved in the back end business decisions and creative decisions, if your audience doesn't believe that and you're a celebrity, good luck. It's going to flop.
Agreed. Or there's something so unique about the product, but I'm like, I don't need Glen Powell's mayo. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about?
100%. Yeah. Before we wrap, I do want to talk a little bit about the podcast and everything that you have going on. So tell our listeners, what do you have going on now that you are full-time and no longer with Amazon?
Yeah. So in May 13th, I launched the Social Currency podcast, and it is really a place where I dissect the happenings across business and culture. It comes out twice a week. 1 week is going to be the interviews with a big CEO or founder, and then the other week is a longer form version of what you see on Instagram and TikTok. So the David Fish situation. Like I would go into a longer form version of that and actually get into the nitty gritty of like why they did this, what people are saying about it, what my take is on the future of the company. So it's a really great place to learn about business and culture.
Amazing. Well, that is a wrap. Huge thanks to Sammi for such a smart, honest, and refreshing take on the creator economy and what it takes to build a meaningful business right now. So if you want to stay up to date on what's actually happening in the creator world, minus the fluff, go check out The Social Currency, Sammi's podcast about business, culture, and the internet. And follow along on Instagram and TikTok at Sammi Cohen Talks for behind-the-scenes content, thoughtful commentary, and a real look at what it takes to grow in this space. Thanks, Sammi.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.